There we go.
There we go.
Oh, wait a second. Hang with us, guys. We're having a weird connective issue with StreamYard. Okay, that's good. Okay, then it connected there. Hang tight, y'all. We got to let it breathe for a second. And we'll get this party started. We got a fun show planned. Go live. We are live. Thank you very much. And then let me just connect one more. Sorry to be a little chunky here tonight, but clunky, I guess I should say. We'll go for it. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, and with me is my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, we're going to be talking to the Papa Bear today on a Superstar segment here in just a few moments, but just, hellos to the early birds like David Youngkin, Sam Bam. We're going to get your super chat. Hang tight. And that's kind of the biggest news of the day. We'll wait till David's on screen here. Yeah, really unfortunate. In case you missed it, I want your quick take, and then we'll grab the Papa Bear. John Elway over the weekend attends a music festival with his wife and one of his best buds, former agent, business partner, Jeff Spurbeck. And at an after party following the festival, they're cruising back on a golf cart. Don't know the whole story other than that's being investigated, but his buddy fell out of the cart onto concrete, hit his head on concrete, and he has unfortunately passed away. So that's the tragic reason why John Elway, Zach, has been in the news this week. And it really is such a bummer because obviously the loss of life is a tragedy in and of itself. But I try and put myself in those shoes. And even if I was not at fault in any way and I'm driving the cart and a buddy falls out to his actual death, I can't imagine what it'd be like to relive that and think about what was I doing? What could I do? Heart goes out to both families in all honesty.
Yeah, you really said it best there. It's an absolute tragedy. It's, it makes you realize how precious life really is. Not to get into that whole spiel, Chad, but it's really true. I mean, I think I read that Elway and Spurbeck and their wives were leaving a music festival 1 second, and the next second tragedy struck and he's no longer with us. And John Elway will never be the same. And that was kind of my first thought. Obviously, it's horrible that he was critically injured and then he passed away. But I'm thinking to myself, how close they've been for so long, what he meant to John Elway. I don't know that Elway mentally, psychologically might never recover from this. And I wonder how much of a toll it's going to take for the rest of his life.
He's dealt with, for all of the ways he's been blessed in his life, just to be, first of all, one of the 1% of the 1% that even makes it to the NFL, let alone being the number one pick, making all that money, Super Bowls, Pro Bowls, all that. But he's actually dealt with a lot of tragedy. He lost his twin sister to cancer when back in the 90s, lost his father. And then it's just terrible. So heart goes out to him. Yes, the local sheriff's department is, quote unquote, investigating the incident, what happened. But the reporting for now claims there's no reason to believe there was any kind of irresponsible driving on Elway's part or anything like that. We don't know the whole story, but that's the reporting so far. So thoughts and prayers to the Spurbeck family, thoughts and prayers to Elway and his family as well. And with that being said, guys, kind of a bummer, but that's the reason Elway's been in the news. Let's turn our attention to the topic at hand, which here in a moment, we're going to bring on David McIlrath, a.k.a. the Papa Bear in the chat. Everybody knows the Papa Bear. Sam Bam real quick has a message for you, though, David. In fact, let's just bring him on, and then we'll read this super chat together. There he is. In the flesh, David McIlrath, a.k.a. the Papa Bear. First things first, Papa Bear, how are you, dude?
I'm outstanding.
Great to hear. Sam Bam has a generous super chat with a little bit of a message. He says, quote, "Evening, guys. Very sad about the news of Elway's friend and business partner. Sounds like it was a sad and unfortunate accident. Thoughts and prayers to Elway and the Spurbeck family. Also, welcome, Papa Bear." Yeah, thank you, Sam. And it really is a bummer. And it's a heart. Whoops, sorry. I'm just getting that banner off. There we go. Also, the Ronk, real quick, we're going to get to the conversation checking in. Thank you, Ronk. Appreciate you, big dog. So first things first, Papa Bear, this isn't your first rodeo being on the show. So we're not going to go through some of the questions about how you became a Broncos fan and your Mount Rushmore and stuff like that. What we want to know and what you and I strategized is let's get you on the first opportunity after the draft, right? That was the plan. And here you are. So what's been your gut reactions to the Broncos draft class last week?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I trust Sean Payton and George Payton immensely. What Sean has done in the 2 years since he's been here It's been absolutely amazing. Okay, we went to the playoffs last year. Who would have thought?
In Peyton, we trust, Zach.
Absolutely. And Papa Bear, I wanted to just know your opinion. What do you say to the people that say the Broncos reached for RJ Harvey, reached for Pat Bryant? You know, they crapped on them for taking a punter. What was some of your favorite moves the Broncos made? And do you think that criticism is warranted?
It is not warranted. Sean Payton and George Payton and their staffs do a lot of work at looking at players. And they pick the players they feel will do best for the team. A lot of things go to that. Characters, one, how they play, how they learn, how they prepare. Those are all things they look at. So on these 7 players, they like their character. They like everything about them.
You know, it's interesting. Eric had an article on this today just examining, hey, how big of an issue is it that Pat Bryant was one of just a handful of receivers to be drafted into the NFL over the last decade with a 4.6 40 or worse. He was in the 4.6s. All right. So he looked at that, and he looked at the success rate of those receivers drafted and the late round guys. For the most part, there's a couple like flashes in the pan, but for the most part, not much to write home about, with the exception of in the top 3 rounds, Cooper Kupp, who also ran a 4.6, who also, for what it's worth, had a very similar scouting report, size measurements. He had a little bit longer arms than Bryant. But here's an interesting thing. Michael Thomas, a.k.a. the slant god who Sean Payton made famous down in New Orleans, he barely escaped the 4.6s, by the way. His combine speed was 4.57. So for what it's worth, or was it 4.57? No, I guess not barely. So 4.5. He was not that much faster, I'll just put it that way, than Pat Bryant. How much does the speed thing and creating separation for Pat Bryant concern you, Papa Bear?
It doesn't. Watch his highlights. His highlights say it all. The kid is fast when he's got the ball in his hand, and he does some pretty remarkable things. I think it was a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, he has a comparable 40 time to Puka Nacua, and let's not forget that Jerry Rice ran a 4.7 coming into the NFL. So not saying he's going to be Jerry Rice, but, you know, let's pump the brakes on the criticism. He plays a lot faster than he looks on tape for sure. What do you make? I want to drill down. I feel like you like the class a lot. Would you give it an A-, A? How do you feel about a grade? I have one more question for you.
I give it a solid A.
Okay, so based on that, that's what I figured. What do you make of the first round pick? Because a lot of people were caught by surprise. Zade, Chad, we're going to call him, we went over this post-pod last time. We think it's Zade Barron. We'll just call him Barron, JB. What do you make of that, Papa Bear?
Actually, Jade. His name is actually Jade Barron.
We don't know. We've been trying to nail that down, drill that down on that.
Well, I've heard it on another one of my podcasts I listened to, and they pronounced it the correct way and said it was the correct way. So it's Jade. Guys, they didn't expect him to even be there.
Right.
Okay. They picked the best player available to them at that particular time. I know there were other players we wanted. I know Hampton was there. I know somebody else was there that we wanted, but I think this pickup was best. Our defense is really outstanding. It's going to be even better with the free agency and the draft.
Right.
We're going to have one of the top 5 defenses in the league. And I do believe that.
What was your favorite pick, Papa Bear, from this class? Your favorite draft pick?
Oh, I have 2 of them. I have RJ Harvey. You all know I was pounding the table for Jensen.
Yep.
Well, when they drafted Harvey, I went and looked at his highlights. I went, what the hell? He's just like Gentry. Same size, same build, same style. Okay, I'm happy with this. And I was. I'm really happy with that particular draft pick. It's probably my favorite one of all of them.
It's exciting. What about maybe your least favorite? I know you gave him an A, but if there's one where you're like, which would it be?
I'm going to say my second favorite player, but I'll give you A. Is Caleb, the tight end.
Okay, loner. Yeah.
I was really happy with it that he drafted him. I'm an underdog type person. I love underdogs. So that's why he's my second favorite person being drafted. However, there were other tight ends available when they drafted him. Okay. However, after looking at his tape, all 4 touchdowns and conversion, it's good. He's going to be really good. He already knows how to block out people, and he's 6'7", 6'8", somewhere in that area. Okay. I don't think there's very many defensive backs that can compete with him, to be honest with you.
Good point. Michaela, the Duchess jumping in saying, hi, Papa Bear, giving you some props.
Hi, Michaela. It's good to see you.
Okay, Zach, I know you've got one more question for the Papa Bear. Maybe like one more from you, one more from me, because I wanted to ask him something about the coming season.
You might be asking what I'm thinking of right now. I want to know, Papa Bear, you were feeling pretty confident, I'm assuming, going into the 2025 season. You know, the over-under is, I think, at 9.5 for the Broncos. They're going to exceed that. We both know that. But did the draft class, did that do enough to boost that for you? Can the Broncos reach 12 or 13 wins? How do you see the season shaking out?
Well, my unofficial stance on that is 13-4.
Ooh,
The
nice.
reason official, I'm going to wait till after training camp and right before preseason before I give it an actual. That's my actual pick. I want to see how these players play out and how things go. I have no doubt in Bo Nix. One of these days I'll get his jersey, but I love the kid, and he was actually my number 1 draft pick last year.
I remember that.
So yeah, I'm very excited about what this team is doing. We have the best of everything, guys. Other teams can't say this. We got the best owners. We got the best coaching staffs. We got the best stats. We got the best medical and nutritional personnel, and we got the best team. And they are a true team. Everybody played for everybody last year, and that was awesome.
True. David Youngkin jumping in, giving you some props too on Super Chat, saying hi, Papa Bear.
Hey, brother.
Okay, last one for you, and we'll cut you loose. Thank you again for giving us some of your time and helping us contribute to the conversation here. But let me ask you this: there's no question that Evan Ingram was brought in to be the Joker tight end, right? And you look at RJ Harvey and base it on how Sean Payton has also described the Joker from a running back perspective. He's got some stuff to learn. We'll see how it all shakes out. But which of those 2 guys do you think ends up having the bigger impact on the Broncos offense in 2025?
RJ Harvey, hands down.
Okay. Why?
If you watch this tape, the man can run. He can bounce off of people. He does awesome. And I think he catches better than most people think he does. He understands the game. He studies the game. He is just like Bo Nix, but a run back.
True, because he's a former quarterback.
Yep, that's another thing. He can read defenses as well as Bo Nix can. Or will be able to. So he'll know exactly what's going on, and they'll be in the right spot at the right time for Bo Nix.
Ralph Bracegirdle on Facebook jumping in to say, Papa Bear, exclamations, multiples, giving you some props.
Standing.
All right, guys. This is one of the legendary mythical members of our Mount Rushmore of Super Chat Superstars, a great friend, part of the family, and just a great supporter dating back years. And Papa Bear, I don't know if it's in the cards for you this year to make it to the meet and greet. We haven't put together the date yet. We're waiting for the schedule, which comes out middle of this month. But hopefully we'll get a chance to see you maybe this fall.
I hope so too. That's my goal. We'll just see when it is and where I'm at financially. I'm on a fixed income, so I've got to be real careful with what I spend. But I enjoyed being with you guys the last time.
It was a lot of fun, But thank you so much, Papa Bear, for joining us tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you again in the chat. And, of course, Zach has the as always, but I'm going to do it this time. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Big time. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. All right. Give
Thank
our
you,
best
Papa Bear.
You're welcome, guys. You guys are awesome, and I love the show. And I'll be You're a fan forever.
Much love,
Love you,
brother. Give
brother.
our best to the family and the missus, and we'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
All right, there he
Good
goes.
night.
Papa Bear, David McIlrath, making his exit from the Mile High Huddle podcast. And just genuine dude, genuine great guy, and a member of the family. So he's very bullish, Zach. No, I mean, obviously you heard the 13-4 thing, unofficial, but 13-4. Totally flexing Bo Nix, flexing this roster, flexing the coaching staff, the strength, the sports science, the ownership. That's a dude that's really confident in the Denver Broncos.
We've been doing this so long together, Chad, that oftentimes, like 2 seconds ago, you'll say something that I'm literally thinking in that moment. And that was the word that came to mind when I was thinking of Papa Bear, is how genuine he is and how amazing our community as a whole is. And he's just another figure and piece of that community. So I appreciate his time. And I do like his insights, and I love his positivity, Chad. So many people right now are down on the Broncos. So many people right now are crapping on Sean and George Payton a year after delivering a franchise quarterback in a playoff berth, by the way, just because they reached, when they're only saying that because national media outlets told them to say that and told them to think that. I like the positivity because things are still skyrocketing upward in Broncos country.
No doubt about it, guys. Lots more to get to here in just a moment. But first, listen up. The great rewards hunt is on. So you got to join the adventure with DraftKings Casino. There's not a lot of time to do this. For fun seekers, follow the trail to huge jackpots, 3 weekly bonuses, and exclusive games. But the excitement, it's only getting started because new players who sign up with our code MileHighPod and wager a minimum of $5 can receive 500 casino spins on a featured game, only on the most rewarding place to play, DraftKings Casino. Again, that's code MileHighPod.
That's right. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus. Physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Connecticut and Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins valid for featured game only and expire in 168 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. And 5/4/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern.
All right. We got Phil McLaughlin in the house checking in. Tucson Phil, as he goes by on X. Great to see you, brother. Thank you for the support. Saying evening, Chad, Zach, Deacon, Scott, and Papa Bear. Have a great show, guys. Have to catch you later. No worries. Buck them right back at you. MHH for life, Broncos for life. Great to see you. Thank you for popping in, my friend. Oh, yeah, I guess I better pop that guy off the screen there. But yeah, interesting stuff, Zach. The whole pronunciation aspect of Barron's first name.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody who sees it just thinks it's Jade Barron. I thought listening to a couple of YouTube interviews, not YouTube interviews, but interviews from different television broadcasts where they're saying his name and they're saying it Jade. And then you brought up, and after our last episode, that they're saying Zade, like as if it's like a dirty Z, not Z, but Jade, kind of like that. So the mystery will continue for now. Papa Bear jumping in on Super Chat, going off. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
He says, thanks, everyone. Good evening, Broncos country. God bless the USA. Let's go, Bo. MHH for life. Buckham ×3. Denver Broncos for life. SEAL Team Knicks. I truly enjoyed being on the show. Well, we truly enjoyed having you on the show, brother. So thank you for the support in more ways than one. You're helping us create the content, and then here you are throwing down a super. So we love you, big dog.
So I was talking about a few seconds ago, so many good people, genuinely good people in our community, and you don't see that too often in today's world. And David, you lead that charge. Thank you so much for your continued and reliant support. Thank you.
You're still getting props in the chat, even on Facebook. Still, Lonnie Alexander giving you some props and more. We didn't get a chance to see this. We missed this one from the Ronk, but the Jeremy Crawshaw pick, the punter, that one's still a little bit controversial amongst some people in the fan base, but you needed a punter, and he happened to be the best punter you could have gotten in the draft. So are you really losing sleep over that, Zach?
Not at all. I mean, you're getting a weapon. You're getting a guy that can flip field position and help out your team legitimately, same as any other position. But the thing is, if you would have taken a flyer on, I don't know, a receiver or a safety or a lineman at that spot, what are the odds he'd see the field? Well, compare that to how often Crawshaw is going to see the field as the more than likely starting punter. So I love the pick, Chad. It's a win now move by a team that's in a championship window.
Ralph wants to know, hey, when are you going to get the Ronk on the show? That's up to the Ronk. The offer is standing. He knows it. We don't pressure him because it's not up. Not everyone wants to get on a camera and be on a microphone, and we understand that. Some people would rather just contribute to the conversation the way they do. But the Ronk knows he has an open standing invite to do a superstar segment if he ever feels like it. So, and like he says here, I like to keep my personal life low key. So, that's to each their own, Zach.
Absolutely. We get that. And we just appreciate seeing you in the chat each and every night, Ronk. Thank you.
So we touched on, there's a few other stories to get to. We touched on, Zach, the unfortunate situation with John Elway and his departed agent, Jeff Spurbeck. But there's also an interesting story here. Now, this was something Sean Payton said after the draft. And I think it's kind of more a direct message to the running back core with the arrival of RJ Harvey. But I think he's really sending the message to the entire class of rookies. And basically, here's the cliff notes to what he said. Quote, ultimately, and these guys will hear this from me in 2 weeks in the team meeting, along with the rest of the rookie class, we're going to go by what we see. How you arrived here, meaning the draft, college free agent, high dollar free agent pickup, whatever. This is a process. Once they're here, it's up to them to earn their stripes. Close quote, Zach. So, hey, you want to be the guy who takes Javonte Williams' starting job, the RB1, and your name is Audric Estime or Jaleel McLaughlin or RJ Harvey, whoever it may be, go out and earn those stripes.
Yeah, to me, though, when it's applying to RJ Harvey, it's akin to making a first-round quarterback earn the starting job. It's kind of fait accompli, Chad, that RJ is going to be the starter, or at least seeing a predominant share of carries on Sundays and a timeshare with Audric. But you don't take him in the second round. It's arguable to say that they reached on Harvey. It's inarguable to say that they had a very high grade on RJ Harvey. So you don't take him there without envisioning him as the starting running back, or at least a key contributor. The other running backs, though, they're going to have to fight, Chad, because there's a collection of kind of the same player. Bidet, Watson, McLaughlin. They're not 3-down running backs, and they have kind of niche roles and skill sets. So they're going to have to fight for the crumbs behind Harvey and Estime.
Yeah, it seems the surest bets for the roster are indeed Harvey and Estime. I would put just barely underneath Estime in terms of outlook and job security, Jaleel McLaughlin, because we know how much Sean Payton and those guys love him. First guy in, last guy out, and he's not a quarterback. It's really cool to see. But yeah, because of his draft pedigree, that telegraphs a lot about what the future expectation is for RJ Harvey. But every once in a blue moon, a second, third round drafted guy goes on to either completely implode or ends up off the team. I know Carlos Henderson was a third round pick, but you remember how that shook out? Like brutal. Now, granted, in his case, there was an injury involved initially, but I think also Monte Ball, who announced some of the picks, or at least was it just the Pat Bryant pick? I can't remember if he announced the RJ. Anyway, Monte Ball, 2013 second round pick out of Wisconsin, and he was off the roster, whatever it was, 2 years later. He did play some his rookie year, but my point here is draft pedigree will get you a good distance toward the playing time, but you really do have to, in some cases, like you said, like a quarterback, that's more like, hey, justify the pick. You don't necessarily have to earn the job, so to speak. In the case of a running back, it's, you still got to earn it, but I think RJ, especially when they let their starter walk out the door, Zach, it's not that much different than justify the pick, more so than go out and earn it.
Man, I loved Carlos Henderson. It still kind of hurts, Chad, that he was such a bust. But what are you going to do? That's the draft. With Harvey, though, it's like when you watch him on tape, you don't talk about him the way Sean Payton talked about him when he said, "Okay, I said be quiet. because his tape is on now. You don't make those comments if you don't see him being a 3-down, maybe workhorse running back. But just having one is not Sean Payton's style. And on that alone, by virtue of that, that's why other people have more chance of seeing the field or more job security, like Audric Estime, like Jaleel McLaughlin. But I agree with you. Beyond those three, it's really every man for themselves.
Big Earn, great to see you, pal. Saying Chad and Zach, go Broncos country only. Bo Nix for 6. Awesome to see you. Taylor Christensen weighing in on Super Chat. Appreciate the support, big dog.
Thank you,
A
Taylor.
bona fide superstar in the house saying, hi, fellas. One thing I forgot to say when I came on is, yes, Christmas a few years ago against the Rams was horrible, but it was good as well because it finally convinced the ownership to fire Hackett. Bo leave. Yeah, that Zach created a whole, butterfly flaps its wings in Japan and, a freaking tsunami hits or whatever. The butterfly effect. You get rid of Hackett and it just starts the dominoes start falling.
Yeah, I think it was Taylor. I might be getting my MHH superstars mixed up, but I think one side of your family, Taylor, is a Rams fan, so that's why I mentioned the Christmas game. Yeah, I mean, that was a beatdown for sure. The firing of Hackett was inevitable. He would have been exposed, and the Broncos would have came to that decision regardless. The bigger problem, though, is they were still stuck with Russ for another year. I mean, they can get out of the coach, but as long as they had that albatross under center, they were going to be in purgatory.
Sean Payton tried to get some blood out of that stone in 2023. And in a lot of ways, the Russ stone, that is, in a lot of ways he did. You looked at Russ's numbers and 26 touchdown passes, which you remove those Peyton Manning years. I've said this before, but you remove the Peyton Manning stats of the 4 years he was in Denver. And that would have been the second most touchdown passes by a Broncos quarterback of all time. Now, you can't remove it, so it's not. But nevertheless, it puts into context that he did improve his efficiency. He cut down on the sacks. Couldn't eliminate them all, though, because Russ is Russ. A lot of ways he did the best he could. Gave it the old college try, Zach. And when it didn't work out, the best thing about it was he had the intestinal fortitude. He had those cashews to go to ownership and say, I know you sunk $250 million in this dude, but he's not going to work. I need a reset. I'm benching him this week, by the way. Cool. See you in the next meeting. That takes a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned, as soon as you mentioned when it didn't work out, the sequence of events played out in my mind. Sean Payton dressed him down on the sideline, benched him, and then cut him. That takes a lot of cashew, or at least, fairly sized cashews to do so. But Taylor, your point is well made. And yeah, your wife's family are Rams fans. They made a good pick, though. They got Ferguson, Terrence Ferguson, I believe they picked up, right? So
I don't know, dude. Let's see. Rams first round pick. I'm so Bronco focused on everything
that's why I question myself.
I see it happen, and then it goes in one ear out the other, so to speak. 2025, yeah. So they traded their first round pick. I don't know. We can look it up, but to Atlanta, they were part of the Atlanta deal. Victor, what's going on, bro? Great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Loving your profile pic, by the way. That's a cool shot in the stadium. You got Broncos country. That's rad. Says, good afternoon, fellas. I hope Broncos country is doing well. Looking forward to training camp and seeing some good competitive spirit going on. Iron sharpens iron. MHH for life. Go Broncos. Yeah, I mean, that was already literally a proverbial. It was a proverb, right? Literally. And then it became a maxim, Zach, an ethos by which to live in Broncos country when Gary Kubiak slapped it on the wall his first year here. And then they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So that's one of those sayings within Broncos country that'll live on, kind of like it's all over, Fat Man, Orange Crush, No Fly Zone, different things stick. Iron sharpens iron will definitely be one of them. And Victor, we're going to start seeing that iron sharpening itself, so to speak, here in just a couple 10 days is when it'll start. Dutch is jumping in again. Love you, Michaela. So good to see you tonight. I'm still shocked, she said. People say SEAL Team Knicks, LOL. Hope the Broncos kick arse. Did I get the syntax wrong on the first line, Zach?
I am still shocked. Led people still say, no, I think you got it.
Some people, maybe she's saying.
Some people still say SEAL Team Knicks. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Hold on. Shock sort people. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, much
Pepper.
love. And now I'm curious though, Michaela, are you saying that you don't find it to be an interesting catchphrase for Bo, or like you're more into like believe some of that? I don't know. But the Broncos, look, I'm glad you're with us tonight because I know in the background during those hours upon hours upon hours of live streams during the draft, some of those picks were not resonating with the Duchess of MHH. And I'm glad to see you in the chat tonight because I'm here to tell you that it's going to work out, especially those first 3 or 4 picks in particular. And it was interesting that the Papa Bear, Zach, loved the Caleb Lohner pick. I don't know how much his ability to box out and rebound is going to translate to the technique required to block an NFL defensive end or linebacker, but nevertheless, he's got some size to him. I mean, if you didn't know any better, Zach, you might think he was a John Elway drafted quarterback at his height.
Yeah, he's tall, and he only has like a 30-second highlight tape, Chad. He only had 4 catches, but every highlight is a touchdown because every catch he made was a touchdown. So you add him, you add Pat Bryant, who could be at floor Tim Patrick, at ceiling Michael Thomas. Then you add RJ Harvey, you throw Evan Ingram in there. You still have Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and the rest. I mean, the arrow was skyrocketing up. And to Michaela's point, it would have been a little cringy if we used all these nicknames and Bo Nix was a bust. But fortunately, we don't live in that universe, and Bo Nix is a franchise quarterback. So hope you like the nickname Michaela and the others that are sure to come in the years to follow.
She's saying I was the first to say it. Right. See, was she? See, it's been now, all due respect and credit to the Duchess, it's been said so many times now that I have forgotten that. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Scott's saying she's probably saying she started it. So that's what's wild about how people use SEAL Team Nix. Yeah, it's on a lot of memes. You see it all over the place, Zach.
Yeah, I tried last year starting ammunition to get him some more help, but it never really took off. So kudos to you, Michaela.
Ralph saying Luke and Tom were asked last night out of the draft class, who are the stars? Who are the stars going to be? And I'll answer first, Zach, concurring with the Papa Bear that I think RJ Harvey is going to be the star of this class on that side of the ball. Barron might not star right away, but he will eventually be a big star in Denver. But what are your thoughts for Ralph?
Yeah, just to change up the conversation because those are fairly obvious. Savion Jones might be my favorite pick, maybe except for RJ Harvey, Chad, on paper anyway, in this draft class. He's going to be playing a little on the defensive line, maybe kick him and play with his hand off the dirt and play him standing up and edge. He's going to do a lot for this defense. And I think you said it, and it's really appropriate, Draymond Jones. The Broncos are basically getting another Draymond Jones, one that doesn't have any attitude concerns and one that actually produces, just to throw him in there to have Zach Allen, JFM, Malcolm Roach. And it also hedges, Chad, when JFM or Malcolm Roach or Zach Allen leave in the future. So I really like that pick a lot.
I never could quite understand why Draymond was so crotchety. You know, he was always so ornery, so to speak. But yeah, very similar measurables. But yeah, the other star in the making, or I should say potential, is Pat Bryant. I don't worry so much about the speed thing because it really does come down to, as Sean Payton emphasizes, vision, right? What's the plan for him? Because you look at his other skills, he's an excellent route runner. He's got arguably the most reliable hands of this 2025 draft class. And he can high point the ball. He's a great go up and get it guy. He can use that body, Zach, underneath, slants, curls, all that stuff. And Sean Payton has proven through his time as an NFL play caller that when he has a guy who can do that reliably, there will be utility and a use for that skill set. So is he going to be Marvin Mims blowing the top off? No, but Cortland Sutton's not either. And Cortland Sutton really wasn't that great of a route runner to begin with. He's gotten better as his career and experience has gone on, but don't sleep too much on Pat Bryant. Don't sleep too much on Caleb Lohner. And hey, Q Robinson, we'll see, right? The 4th round pick. We'll see what comes of that. Like, was that really just kind of geared toward bolstering special teams, or do you have a vision for him on defense? We'll find out. And who knows, Zach, that kid Crawshaw, I watched that dude punt 3 days in a row, and he just everything he would do, he just draw your eye, and you're going, count that, Scott. Hang time, man. 1,000, 2, and you're counting it and just pinning it perfect. His accuracy is just wild. He could go on to be an all-pro punter.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Pat Bryant is, Chad, they didn't need him to be Marvin Mims. They didn't need him to be Troy Franklin because they have those kind of players already. What they were lacking last season and what those players contributed to was the absence of Tim Patrick. They missed the sure hands. They missed the reliability over the middle. They missed that safety blanket. Usually you get that at tight end, but when your starting tight end is Adam Troutman or Lucas Krull, you're not going to have that for a young rookie quarterback. So to have that now with Evan Ingram, to have a Tim Patrick clone at floor, and again, at ceiling, a Michael Thomas clone, and then to, Cortland Sutton and all the rest, Bo Nix is going to thrive this season.
You know what's wild? Thank you, Mr. Producer. Bo Nix has played one season as a Bronco. He passed for 3,775 yards, and already Zach ranks 10th in career yards by a quarterback drafted by the Broncos. Isn't that crazy, dude? Ranks 10th after 1 year of being a starter in career yards by a drafted quarterback in Denver. Kind of cool as far as a harbinger. He's already a top 10 guy.
It's kind of cool and also kind of sad, Chad, because it shows how many quarterbacks the Broncos have whiffed on in their history. And, just except for a couple of the ones they've acquired. But while we're on the topic really quickly, I asked Grok, and for anyone who doesn't know, Grok is the Twitter version, the AI tool, the Alexa, Siri, what have you. And I asked Grok, the actual Siri is going off now, to predict Bo Nix's 2025 stats, considering the additions of Evan Ingram, Pat Bryant, and RJ Harvey. Really quickly, 4,400 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 68% completion, another 400 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, 39 total touchdowns, a passer rating about 99, and he ranked, for anyone who cares, QB6 in fantasy. If in real life those numbers translate, if Grok is correct here, Chad, that's MVP territory, and the Broncos are pushing for the division.
Very interesting. Bo Nix, man. And the Broncos, when the season ended, we were like, hey, build that nest around Bo Nix. And we were speaking to be on the nose and very specific about skill players. But as Sean Payton pointed out at the combine, and it came out in the wash this way, there's a lot of ways to build around Bo, including adding the cornerback, adding to this, to that, all the different things that are going to, in the end of the day, complement Bo Nix's skill set. But dude, I'm so stoked to see Evan Ingram injected into the mix. RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant. Bryant's going to have to battle his way up, but what he has already going for him that nobody else does, with maybe the exception of Cortland Sutton, is no block, no rock. He has already made it a professional strong suit, Zach, blocking. And with Lil Jordan Humphrey gone, we always used to, fans, we'd get it in the chat. Why is Lil Jordan Humphrey on the field? Why? Why isn't it this player? And why is it Lil Jordan? Because he could block. And not just that he could block, Zach, but he was an enthusiastic and willing blocker.
Yeah.
That alone is going to see Pat Bryant hit the field quite a lot. The Duchess, again, third super chat tonight. What do you guys think about the rumor Broncos might get former Baltimore Ravens first-round pick, Alabama star C.J. Mosley, Zach?
Oh, Michaela, thank you again. I haven't heard this rumor, so if you can pass along, I don't know if you have, Chad, but
I have not.
Might be fan speculation. Let us know where you heard this. It might be worth a write-up, Michaela. But when we're talking about Q Robinson a few minutes ago, I was thinking to myself, well, with Dre Greenlaw sidelined a little bit now with that quad injury, there's an opening there next to Alex Singleton, who's also coming back from injury, and who's left on the depth chart. You have Drew Sanders, LaVelle Bailey, the UDFA from last season, who I liked a lot, who had that preseason pick 6, and then Robinson. So I'm thinking Robinson's going to be a special teams guy, but he might push Chad to be the primary backup behind Dre Greenlaw. And as much as I love Dre Greenlaw, he does have an injury jacket. So that's how I see the pecking order. To answer your question, Michaela, how that's shaking out, I don't think they're going to pick up an inside linebacker like C.J. Mosley. I think they're going to lean on the in-house younger developmental guys.
So let's get to the bottom of the rumors. Released, and it's 2 different very low end on the credibility scale publications saying Broncos should pursue Mosley. So like, hey, pound on the table type thing, not linking it. There's no insider saying Broncos are interested, but it is low hanging fruit, so to speak. In the wake of the Greenlaw injury, all of a sudden Mosley hits the market. Do you try to bring him in? There might be, I'm trying to think, the coaching staff. Is there a coaching connection that might make Denver a possible landing spot? But either way, you've already, Zach, sunk quite a lot of money into Greenlaw. If they were to go out, though, here's the biggest deal. If they were to go out and sign a guy of CJ Mosley's profile, Zach, that would tell you they're a lot more scared about the Greenlaw injury than what's being reported. I don't expect it to happen, though. I really don't. I don't think CJ Mosley's coming to Denver.
Well, if it's one of those sites that you're talking about that I'm thinking of, I guarantee you the thought process went like this. Dre Greenlaw had an injury. They look at the linebacker market. CJ Mosley's a recognizable name. There's the match right there. And we have to believe what Sean and George Payton say, take them for their word. And what did they say earlier this offseason? They see Drew Sanders as a future starter in the NFL. So I think they'd first go to that well, or God forbid, go back to Sternad, who they brought back, before they would pursue Mosley on the open market. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. I'm just checking one last link here. Let me see here. Just making sure I'm not missing something. Yeah, this is just all speculation. It's just utter speculation. So doesn't mean it's not worth monitoring or that it doesn't warrant our scrutiny, but we'll see. Zach, to some actual news. The Broncos, well, here's your headline. Former Ivy League quarterback fired up to attend Broncos rookie minicamp. You had the story for us. This cat's name is Blake Stenstrom. What's the word? And do you think, I don't even know that all Broncos fans knew he was coming to compete.
Yeah, when you were mentioning the competition and iron sharpening iron, they even have it presumably at the QB3 spot where Sam Ehlinger currently occupies, Chad. But yeah, former Princeton and Colorado from 2019 to 2021 quarterback. I don't have Stenstrom. I don't have the article pulled up in front of me, but he was a 2-year starter at Princeton. After transferring from Colorado, he was second team All Ivy over there in the Ivy League. He did a lot of good things in that conference, and he went undrafted last year, spent the offseason, at least rookie minicamp, with the Eagles and the Giants, and now he's coming to camp with the Broncos, one of, Chad, more than 24 players.
It'll be interesting. There are multiple guys that'll get the invite to compete and try out, including that former Bengals running back, Chris Evans.
Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yeah, Captain America. Proud Zennial 81 checking in on Super Chat. Thank you, big dog. Great to see you tonight. Saying, quick reminder, Arizona is Broncos country. I love it, dude. Stoked to see what undrafted free agents make the 53. FYI, Chad, the new album is fire. Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate you giving Gainsayer some props. Means a lot, buddy. Hashtag MHH for life. Ian from Gilbert, Arizona. Sorry, I'm late. If it is indeed Ian, I've seen Ian spelled that way only one other time in my life, but unless it's a typo. But I think that's what you're saying. Either way, dude, thank you so much. Much love and respect.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the Broncos streak of UDFAs making the 53 is going to continue, but I think one of those players is going to come on the offensive line, Chad.
Yeah, there's 3 of the guys they signed had draftable grades. So look for that. In fact, what's the Georgia kid's name, Zach?
Xavier Truss.
Yeah, he's probably the front runner. And also that kid, the center that had a little bit of a dust up with the
Clay
I don't
Webb.
even know the whole backstory on that. Yeah, Webb.
The social media thing you're talking about?
Whatever it is, some kind of federal case or something that caused him to fall.
I don't know of anything federal, but there's a kind of a disgusting rumor that surfaced on social media that I saw about him. I don't know if it's true or not, but
we'll leave it on social media. Yeah. But either way, Ronk jumping in. Chad, Zach, who will have the most impact year one in 2025 with the Broncos, Harvey or Bryant? Fun question, brother. I got to say, it's pretty It's easy, Zach, to answer this one, RJ Harvey, because of the two, he's got the surest path to the starting job, which means the most reps, which means the most bites at the apple. But Pat Bryant is a sleeper to be as impactful, if not more impactful, than, say, even Devon Vele was last year.
Sorry, I was just confirming the Clay Webb thing, and anyone who looks it up is going to find out what I was talking about. But anyway, both players, Ronk, are going to be impactful. Pat Bryant, he looks buried on the depth chart right now, but I think as training camp shakes out the preseason, he might pass Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin might never amount to anything. He was a dart throw. He might pass Vele. Remember, Vele was a day 3 pick. Bryant is going to play. Harvey is going to start. Harvey is going to play, in my opinion, over Estime. Estime is going to be the short yardage goal line back, but Harvey is going to see the field on passing downs, early downs. He's going to be a real dynamic joker. Hate to use the word again, but joker in the backfield for Bo Nix.
All right, guys, this is kind of your 2-minute warning for any burning questions or supers. Thank you, Proud Zennial. Really appreciate you, my friend. Leroy Williams jumping in saying another intriguing pickup is the tight end from Colorado, Harrison. I think he was also at San Diego State. Saw film. He's promising and a nice camp body. Yeah, I mean, they're kicking the tires. They're kicking the bushes on tight end. Like, they know they spent some resources on Ingram. You know, Troutman. I always forget his name. Nate Adkins, and Kroll. They're placeholders. They got a little bit of experience that they bring to the table, but nobody, projects Zach as a potential solution post Ingram, or even that much of a compliment, frankly, to Ingram. There's obviously a lot of hopes now that Loner is one of those guys. We'll see about the Harrison kid.
I can't believe you would leave out returning Broncos legend Thomas Yasmin, Chad, the international Australian-born tight end.
Right.
Kind of shows you how barren, no pun intended, the Broncos room is behind Evan Ingram and now Caleb Loner. And as we talked about with Pat Bryant, there is a path to playing time for Caleb Loner. He might not be the starter. He won't be the starter over Evan Ingram, but he might be some, see some red zone opportunities, jump ball, get ball. That's what he did best at Utah.
We got Todd Ostendorf jumping in saying, what role is there for Blake Watson, McLaughlin, Beatty, with Harvey here now? It's reserve. It's third, at best third in the rotation, because you got to have, again, it's kind of lazy analysis, but if you look at the Sean Payton timeline, the Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas timeline, then later you had the Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram timeline, so to speak. And so you kind of know what Sean Payton's template is. Kamara role, that's going to be Harvey in terms of probably modestly getting the lion's share of the carries and the touches. But who's going to be that between the tackles guy, that thumper that can wear down a defense? Not to say that it's outside the bounds of possibility for Harvey, but he's only a little over 200 pounds. But Zach, at least he is over 200 pounds. Audric Estime, I don't know. Once you get past those two guys, it's kind of like who brings that change of pace, who brings a complementary skill set to the table that differs from those two in terms of role. And I really see it being McLaughlin. I'm not sure that Watson or Beatty will actually end up fitting in this year, Zach, now that Harvey's in the fold, but we'll see.
Harvey might be the most yoked up 200-pounder I've ever seen in my entire life. I do not worry about durability or how he's going to take contact in the NFL. What role is there for the rest of them? A lot of Vic Fangioing. So a lot of this just with their arms folded and waiting, standing around. And like Chad said, being a backup and a reserve. But if they played in their defense, if they played for any other coach in the NFL or a coach that believes in a one running back system or two running back system, they would probably be cut by now. But because Sean Payton loves the committee, because Sean Payton loves deploying 3-4 running backs at a time, they'll still see some carries. Now, will they see the same amount they saw last year out of necessity? No. That's the difference. They don't have to go through that anymore because they don't need that anymore.
That's right. All right, guys, we got a few messages for you. Then we're going to take one last look at the chat before we dip, so don't go anywhere.
I can't believe it's been 50 minutes already. You guys make this the most amazing show in the world, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. That was another tremendous installment of the Mile Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out mhhmerch.com. Get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at facebook.com/milehighhuddlepod. You can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans, just like you.
For craps and giggles, I just asked ChatGPT how you pronounce Baron's name. Guess what?
And
Zade.
they were right. Well, they're pulling that from other information, though.
Well, let's see where it's sourced.
Like, you're worried about that dude taking a hit in the NFL. You're going to call that dude small or fragile or whatever. Good luck to you.
Yeah, he's built, dude. He's yoked. He might be 5'8", but
That dude's a beast.
He's stacked. He's thick. Honestly, very similar in terms of the way they carry the way the muscles, their height, and then like the way the muscle. How do you say it? Just how they're muscled. That's kind of a lame way to say it. So similar to Ashton Genty.
I don't worry about a defender hitting him. I worry about him hitting the defender. Imagine him putting a shoulder down or him putting one of those arms down on you. Wouldn't be a good time. So, hate on him at your own discretion.
So in comparison, all right, Jaleel McLaughlin is 1 inch shorter, but he weighs 187 pounds. All right. Let's see Blake Watson. They're all in the same height range, but let me see remind myself his weight. So he's 5'9", so he's got an inch on RJ, but he's at least 10 pounds lighter at 195. And then who's the other one? Zach Bidet, Tyler Bidet, 5'8", just like RJ. Weight 195, 196. So that 10 pounds, man, it adds up in the league when you're carrying the ball. So it's armor, it's power, it's all those things. He brings it in spades.
And he won't be, again, the sole running back taking carries. He's not going to get, this isn't, 1995. He's not going to get 40 carries a game. Estimate will work in there. McLaughlin more than likely will work in there, and maybe Watson too. So there's that to give him a breather, but I'm not worried about him holding up at the NFL level.
Yeah, so there is Ralph. So excited for our big D. Man, the 14-year-old in me just wants to laugh, like make jokes of that. But I feel you. I know what you're talking about. Stoked to see you. You're on your way to the Mile High City next month for a Rockies game. Going to see you at the Bridge the Gap show in Denver. That's going to be fun, Ralph. Can't wait for that. But Zach, there's a podcast. Let me see real quick. Let me see something. Hold on. Let me see. Say it. Say the name. Hold on. Let's see. Hang tight. I'm just seeing if this says the name. I know Scott can cut some of this up. It's almost there. Nah, I'm not going to waste your time. But it's Zade. I'm sorry. And I am sorry to say that because I was saying, Zach, I thought I was right saying Jade.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just replace that J with a Z. That's how you say his name. But guys, a mile high salute and a special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters helping us keep the lights on tonight. And we'll start with the Papa Bear, who was also our guest on a Superstar segment, and then throwing down a Super Chat afterward. Thank you, David. Great to see you. Sam Bam, The Ronk, The Duchess with multiple supers, David Yunkin, Ralph Bracegirdle, Phil McLaughlin down in Tucson, Taylor Christensen, much love. Victor Espinoza, great to see you, pal. Let's see. I think I got everybody. Proud Zennial. Much love and respect, big dog. And thank you for listening to the new Bridge the Gap album. I really appreciate it, pal. Zach and I were off until Sunday night, but we can't wait to see you then.
Have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.